and welcome to the Oddity Archive, the show that can be turned on just like that. Well, we've got a double header today here in Archive Land. So first up, that ONTV box behind me needed a little love. So the first half-ish of today's episode will be devoted to me trying to clean and fix it up a little. And, of course, this being archive, testing it out. As much as you're going to these days anyway. But then, after that, since we're in non-cable pay TV mode, I've managed to dig up another batch of largely forgotten pay TV channels. Alas, nothing here is quite as insane as Telefirst, but hey. And I finally added in the Manhattan cable TV box, which I did a Ben's Junk on at one point, and I think I featured one other time. But now I need to find an ONTV box, and hopefully I can stack it on top of the Manhattan box and maybe have it all fit. Well, it's taken me over 6 years, but I've finally managed to get my hands on a not destroyed ONTV box. Yes, it was a fleabayism. Anyway, here's what I know about this particular box. Even though ONTV is most closely associated with Chicago, which I think is partially my own doing, ONTV actually launched in Los Angeles in 1977 via KBSC. My ONTV box comes from that market. It was produced by Oak Industries, who owned ONTV, and was manufactured on December 12, 1981. Admittedly, when I first got this box, I just gave it a quick, half-assed cleaning, so it would be presentable, at a distance at least. But this box is actually not in such a great condition. It's still got some gunk on it in some spots. It's got some nicks and scratches on its face. The wood paneling is coming off. The top right corner got bashed in at some point. And it only has 3 out of its would-be 4 rubber feet. I've actually been using a small stack of pennies to prop this thing up for these last few episodes. Now, initially, I wanted to take this apart just enough so I could, just take a look around and also clean out any cobwebs or anything else that's built up in there over the years. But as it turns out, the screws on the bottom of the unit, which holds the whole thing in, natch, are some kind of presumably proprietary screws. They appear to be some sort of odd inverted tri-wing screws. Certainly nothing that's in my security bit kit. But when I went fishing around online, going through all the loss prevention sort of places, I found nothing quite like it. And the one and only teardown video I could find on one of these things completely skips over the bottom screws. So I'm guessing he went nuclear on it and just drilled them out. Now, given that this is, at the end of the day, intended as a decorative piece, because I don't want to potentially deface this thing, I am not going to attempt a teardown. But what I am going to do is I'm going to pop off the front faceplate and try and get it flat again. I'm going to reaffix the paneling, and I'm going to put some new rubber feet on it. Then after that, just for the hell of it, I'll hook it up and see if it does anything at all. This day and age, I'm not expecting it to. I'm really just doing it so no one else has to. it's as good as it's getting. Got it all nice and glued back together. Got some new feet on it. Everything seems to be solid. I kind of had a little mishap with the glue when I was putting this together, so I had to give it another cleaning and try and get all that out and dig down in there and get the stuff that spilled down in there. But I think I did alright here, so let's hook this up and see if it does anything at all. And of course I don't own a tube TV right now, so this is going to be, I think, a non-event. So try and stick with me here. For all the time that I've spent with this stuff, I've never been entirely clear on how this was actually hooked up. The old commercials always touted, somebody having to come in and install this for you. But from the looks of the box, and I was already under this impression initially, I was under the impression that this is just a pass-through. So you've got an output, and then you've got two inputs, one VHF, one UHF, nothing going to UHF right now, and it would just be your antenna, or antennae, passing through here onto your TV. But I'm not so sure about that now. When I was cleaning this out, as far as I could tell, nobody had ever tampered with it. I didn't notice any big scratches or anything like that. But nonetheless, there is no analog TV anymore in America for all intents and purposes. So in lieu of an antenna, I've got the Betamax hooked up to here. Everything is running through channel 3 analog. And for the occasion, I dug out my one and only tape with any significant on-TV footage. As of my shooting this tape is pushing 40 years old. It's from late 1979 or very early 1980. So here's where I got messed up. Let's finally get down to this. So play, and it has a little dead space at the beginning of this tape. But notice that we are off right now. It will come in. Just takes a moment. There we go. So the night's feature was Heaven Can Wait, starring Warren Beatty, and we do have sound. But here's where things get screwy. We're off right now. When I turn it on, it goes away. So I can kind of fake a scramble if I hit it just right. I can't seem to do it right now, but if you do want to see this footage, or everything but the movie proper, I've already posted this to Archive Annex, so go look that up if you want to see it. But yeah, it works, just not necessarily in the way I expected. Now, if you have theories about this, let me know. If you had on TV and you remember how it was put together, feel free to tell me. But otherwise, yeah, this is just, even by Oddity archive standards, a genuine oddity. To start things off, let's discuss a little technicality of non-cable pay TV. As late as the probably mid-90s, some pay TV systems and channels were broadcast via microwave. In other words, technically they were still operating over the air. HBO was exclusively microwave transmitted from its inception in November of 1972 until sometime in 1975. Los Angeles' famous Z channel was also via microwave early on, for more remote areas. Having said that, particularly from about 1979 to 87, a few other individual channels were broadcast using this method, requiring a dedicated receiver/descrambler box. From 1981 to 83, Movievision ran in Sacramento, California, and Dallas, Texas, and surrounding areas. Little information survives about Movievision, but it appears that their content stuck very much on the, shall we say, more mature end of the pay TV spectrum. In 1983, Movievision sold out to Oak Industries, read ONTV. This lasted until ONTV folded in 1985. At the same time, Dallas dropped non-cable pay TV entirely. Given that Sacramento was the last significant city in America to not allow cable TV, ONTV's main rival, Select TV, still via microwave, gained total market share. Despite Sacramento beginning to allow cable TV circa 1987, Select TV managed to hang on until 1991, marking the end of non-cable or satellite pay TV in the US. This next one's kinda complicated. Try and stick with me here. In early 1979, an over-the-air pay TV channel known as BEST, Broadcast Entertainment Subscription Television, launched in Boston, Massachusetts via WQTV. That summer, BEST was rechristened as Starcase. In 1980, across the country in San Francisco, California, Supertime, another ONTV clone, launched on KTSF. Now, I can't seem to find whether or not Supertime and Starcase were already owned by the same entity, but in late 1981, the two merged into the common Star TV. Meanwhile, two other instances of Star launched in San Jose, California via KSTS and New Orleans, Louisiana via microwave. In March of 1983, Star filed for bankruptcy due to unpaid broadcast rights fees for the movies they showed. Star TV closed by the end of 1984. Another channel that falls into a bit of a gray area would be the regional HBO clone Prism, Philadelphia Regional In-Home Sports and Movies. Throughout its 21-year run, Prism ran on, as implied, Philadelphia metropolitan area cable TV systems. However, from 1983 to spring 1985, Prism also ran on WWSG, based out of Philadelphia. Prior to that, WWSG had actually been running Select TV for a couple of years. The over-the-air version of Prism is notable for being one of the few 24-hour over-the-air pay TV channels. This is due to the fact that, in June of 1982, the FCC dropped the requirement that any over-the-air subscription channels air a minimum of 28 hours per week of unencrypted programming. Thing was, dropping any local programming could get your license renewal application shot down by the FCC, so very few stations attempted this. In case you're curious, WWSG, or WPSG, is, as of this episode, still going strong. As of 1974, Manhattan was the only borough of New York City to have cable TV. Seeing an opening, in June of 1974, Blonder Tongue, usually known more for their AV gear, announced the launch of their own WBTV TV, based out of Newark, New Jersey, serving the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut tri-state area. The idea for WBTV revolved around, if you will, purchasing programs to watch a la carte via a key-operated descrambler box. From the looks of it, while WBTV did go to air for a whopping 3.5 months, the pay TV component was never implemented. WBTV went dark at the beginning of 1975, though it did reappear in September as a general entertainment UHF station, only to have its call letters changed soon after. Then that gave way to a new pay TV channel in 1977. In the fall of 1977, WTVG, formerly WBTV, became the flagship station for WIHT, or Wometco Home Theater, shortly thereafter changing its call letters to WWHT to hammer home its affiliation. The concept, like on TV, was to function as an over-the-air equivalent to HBO. If anything, it's virtually identical to on TV. In July of 1980, WSNL, based out of Long Island, New York, began running Wometco as well, because WWHT's reception was a little iffy out on Long Island. In 1981, WRBV, based out of Vineland, New Jersey, joined in, giving terrestrial coverage that spread into part of Pennsylvania. By 1984, all 5 boroughs of New York City allowed cable TV, causing Wometco Home Theater to close in 1985. Having said that, Wometco had already been in the cable TV business for several years. As far as their cable TV holdings go, the trail goes cold in the late 90s. I can't find anything concrete, but Wometco Holdings appears to have folded in 2014. Arguably, the most obscure of the over-the-air pay TV stations would be IT, or In-Home Theater, which aired over WRHT, soon rechristened as WIHT to fit in with the channel, in Detroit, Michigan, as well as on KGCT in Tulsa, Oklahoma. There isn't much info about this one, and even less footage. The Detroit feed ran 14 hours a day, 7 days a week, while Tulsa only ran 7 hours. As cable TV grew in both cities, it was rendered moot and folded, to the best of my research, sometime during the fourth quarter of 1984. In November of 1980, Dallas, Texas independent station KNBN, later KTWS, began running VIEW, or Video Entertainment Unlimited. Within the next year, VIEW was picked up by KAUT in Oklahoma City and, just for the occasion, WVEU in Atlanta, Georgia. All 3 markets either already had cable or were being wired for cable at the time of launch. KAUT in Oklahoma City dropped the service in September of 1982. Dallas and Atlanta stuck with VIEW until it ceased operations in September of 1984. And as a little bit of trivia, when VIEW ceased operations, WVEU began running the locally produced VMC, or Video Music Channel, which had already been running over Atlanta cable since 1982, as Atlanta didn't quite have MTV yet. The last over-the-air pay TV channel I could find was known as Super TV, not to be confused with Star TV, Super Time, or Star Case. Anyway, given that the holdup for cable TV service in most cities was due to local politics, I guess it's poetic that one of those holdout towns would be Washington, D.C. Super TV launched in November of 1981 via WFTY. The following summer, Super TV expanded to WNUV, based out of Baltimore, Maryland. Super TV is most notable from the technical end of things. First, DC and Baltimore ran separate, unique feeds of the service, with Baltimore carrying a nice helping of local sports. For a while during Super TV's run, some of their D-Scrambler boxes allowed viewers to switch between the DC and Baltimore feeds, a feat that, as far as I know, was never replicated anywhere else. Another notable achievement was that, unlike ONTV, Super TV had the means of individually identifying D-Scrambler boxes to make sure that they were legal when paying for the service. In 1986, cable TV became a reality in both cities, and Super TV folded by the end of the year.
That can turn your television set into a Super TV. Super TV.
Well, that's it for today's archive. Join us next time when we discuss the pipe dream that was natural gas-powered pay TV. But then again, with all the junk on TV these days, maybe it wasn't such a pipe dream.